Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith, and I'd like to take a moment and talk to you about icons, specifically icons in the music industry. Now, for you to ask me who are some people that I think are icons, some of the different artists over the years that are icons, the list would not be limited to, but it would definitely include artists like Michael Jackson, artists like Prince, artists like the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, Springsteen, U2. And in the country format, I would think of artists like George Strait, like the lovely Reba McEntire, and the artist that I had the opportunity of seeing last night, Garth Brooks. Now, I'm no stranger to who Garth Brooks is, but it was very, very impressive seeing him perform live. We're going to get to his performance in just a moment. But I've given you a list of names, so let's talk about what is it that makes an artist an icon. Well, first of all, I think a big thing is longevity. I don't think you can come out with an album or two and have a string of great hits and then all of a sudden be considered an icon. I think longevity plays a huge part in it in the sense that you have to have been somebody who's been around for a while. I also think the loyal fan base that you've accumulated over the years plays widely into you being considered an icon. I also believe the respect of your peers, not only in your own format, but in other formats as well, pay heavily in terms of you being considered an icon. So, for example, the ability for Prince to unexpectedly show up at the Academy Awards and instantly get a standing ovation just by going up to present an award. The ability for U2, and specifically Bono, to basically call on any world leader and say, hey, I want to have a moment of your time. And all of a sudden they're like, okay, you're going to get a moment of my time. For somebody like Garth Brooks, who hasn't really been in the public eye for many years, to all of a sudden announce, hey, I'm going on tour, and for his shows to sell out one after the other to the point where you're the promoters are constantly having to add new shows just to try to keep up with the demand. There are artists that we listen to, that we hear on a regular basis, and we might like their tunes, and that's great, but they're not going to be considered icons. If you take a look at the ratio between icons and performers in the music industry, it's a very finite list. And I'm very happy that I had the opportunity last night to see an icon. Now, Garth Brooks, again, is not going to be any stranger to most people. Now, some people might like the country format, some people might not like the country format. For myself, I like all types of music. Now, a lot of people will say to you, when you say to them, well, what type of music do you like? And they'll give you the standard response, oh, I like everything. Some people will be more specific, but a lot of people I find just say they like everything. Well, I'm one of those people that really does like everything. I've had the opportunity of seeing concerts of multiple genres of music, and some I've really enjoyed, some I haven't. One of the things that I think that makes going to a concert enjoyable is the relationship that the performer tries to have or has with the audience. There's some artists that I see and it's just basically insert name of city here. It's great to be back in Ottawa, as opposed to some people who just talk about the city, talk about their experiences, just really engage the crowd. And that's exactly what we had last night. Now, going to the show, it was very entertaining in the sense that going in for somebody who's never seen Garth Brooks perform live, it was a great opportunity for me to do a lot of people watching and a little bit of people listening. Some people were talking about how it was like their 10th show or their 15th show going to see him. And I'm sure there were a few people like me where it was actually their first time. Regardless if you were a Garth Brooks concert veteran or a first timer like myself, you were going to have a good time. I think the only time I sat in my seat was when I was actually waiting for the performance to start. And after that, I was on my feet for the whole show. Through the up-tempo songs, through the so-called slower songs, up on my feet. Because you don't sit when you're watching an icon. Garth Brooks showed that he still has it, as if there was any doubt. Here's a gentleman who was absolutely engaged with his audience, absolutely engaged with the fact that they're coming out on a Sunday, paying their hard-earned dollar to see a good show, and a good show is what he wanted to deliver. I truly respected the fact that he took time not just to do the standard introductions of his band, but to talk about them in more detail to show that as much as he's the centerpiece, they're the backbone and the foundation of his music. His lovely wife Trisha Yearwood came out, sang a few songs. It would have been nice to see her out there for a little longer because, again, I think that Trisha Yearwood is a fantastic singer in her own right and probably one of the best female vocalists in country music. another person I put in that list would definitely be Martina McBride. The show was very enjoyable. If you've never seen Garth Brooks perform live, put it on your list of things to do. This is a man that is extremely entertaining. This is a man that's very charismatic, very enjoyable to watch perform, and I had an absolutely great time. I didn't go into it thinking I wouldn't have a good time, so it didn't really come as a surprise. I just didn't realize like what I'd be in for. Looking around the crowd, there were so many different emotions. There were people that were singing along. There were people that were very excited, and then there were people that were crying at the thought that this might very well be the last time that Garth Brooks tours, especially tours here in Ottawa. So at the end of the day, I'm somebody who tends to review things from time to time, and if I'm giving this concert a review, I'm giving it an A+. I'm not giving it an A+ just because Garth Brooks is an icon. I'm giving it an A+ because Garth Brooks is an icon who shows that even though he hasn't been actively touring and actively releasing music over the last few years, here is somebody who hasn't lost his touch. Here is somebody who still gets the fact that, hey, I'm a global superstar. I've sold more albums in the country format than anybody else, and I'm not just going to come and put on a show and walk through it and mail it in. I'm going to work my ass off and make sure everybody goes home happy. And to that, mission accomplished. As always, you can reach out to me on CFL_fan on Twitter, Facebook.com/Whitty Whittier, and WhittyWhittier.com. I appreciate you taking the time to check this out. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. And until then, we'll talk to you soon.